There comes a moment in life when a person looks in the mirror and realizes something feels off, not because everything failed, but because the life they are living does not match the life they once imagined. It feels like a quiet loss. The self was never fully allowed to exist. There is a silent gap between who you are now and who you sense you could become. And in that uncomfortable awareness, real transformation begins. Because true change never starts on the outside. It begins as a silent shift within. We often think change is dramatic, a big decision, a sudden breakthrough. But real transformation is a slow process. It is the dismantling of old ways of thinking and the rebuilding of meaning. It is not just about doing different things. It is about seeing the world through a new lens. And this kind of change does not happen quickly. It unfolds through doubt, resistance, and deep self-reflection. Psychologists have studied this process for decades. Carl Jung called it individuation, the integration of fragmented parts of the self. Abraham Maslow described it as the path toward self-actualization, the gradual realization of human potential. But beyond theories and labels, the truth is simple. Transformation begins when staying the same hurts more than the fear of change. Most people never reach this point consciously. They repeat familiar patterns. They live from emotional scripts learned early in life. Their choices are guided by invisible beliefs. I am not good enough. People like me do not succeed. It is too late to start over. These thoughts may seem harmless, but they quietly shape the structure of a life. Transformation does not begin by destroying these beliefs. It begins by noticing them. Awareness is the first act of rebellion because once a pattern is seen, it loses its power. Modern neuroscience supports this. The brain is not fixed. It is adaptable. This ability is called neuroplasticity. Each time you consciously challenge an old belief or habit, your brain changes. New neural pathways form. Old ones weaken. Transformation, in scientific terms, is the physical rewiring of the mind. Yet most people want change without discomfort. But discomfort is not failure. It is evidence that the brain is leaving familiar territory. The ego resists because its job is stability, even when that stability is limiting. That is why growth feels chaotic. When you try to change a habit, the resistance you feel is not laziness. It is identity protection. Psychologists call this homeostasis, the mind trying to preserve its sense of self. That is why real transformation does not begin with habits. It begins with identity. You do not change who you are by forcing behavior. Behavior follows identity. This is why reflection, therapy, and journaling are powerful. They make the unconscious visible, and what becomes visible loses its control. Transformation is rarely linear. It moves in cycles: progress, doubt, regression, clarity. Psychology calls this the liminal phase, the space between who you were and who you are becoming. It is uncomfortable, but necessary. During this phase, the brain rewrites your personal story. Beliefs are not just thoughts. They are repeated neural patterns that feel like truth, and they can be changed through awareness, repetition, and emotionally meaningful experiences. Many transformation attempts fail because people force new behaviors while clinging to old identities. That is why honesty is essential. Not harsh honesty, but gentle, radical truth. Here's what I feel. Here's what I avoid. Here's what still hurts. From this honesty, real change emerges. Transformation is not about fixing a broken self. It is about integration, reclaiming the parts of yourself you once rejected. This is why compassion matters. When fear is met with understanding, defensive behaviors dissolve. In this sense, transformation is not self-attack. It is self-reconciliation. The deepest changes happen quietly. In the moment, you pause instead of reacting. When you choose differently, when you act with awareness. Each moment rewires the self, and over time, the old identity fades. Not because it was destroyed, but because it was outgrown. One day, you look back and realize how much has changed. What no longer triggers you, what you no longer tolerate, what no longer defines you. And that is the quiet miracle of self-transformation. Not becoming extraordinary, but becoming conscious. And that is enough.